Well, hello everyone, this is Gladys from Gladys Garden in Heart of a Gypsy. Thanks for you guys stopping by and visiting my channel. I am, as promised, bringing out to you this little tutorial for my, I guess it is a file card holder, you know, and this was my DT project entry for Tsunami Rose Design, and this was challenge number 21. And it's already been posted today or earlier today, and as promised, I did ask or had a request to see how many people would like to see a tutorial, and obviously I got a good response, and thank you for that, for your nice comments. And it's very easy, so I'll tell you the things you're going to need. You're going to need 2 regular office file folders, and it doesn't make any difference whether it's tied up, tab up, or down, or middle. It doesn't make any difference. We're going to cut those anyways. So 2 of those. You're going to be needing scissors. You're going to be needing a paper trimmer. You're going to be needing a scoreboard, because we need that. You're going to use also 1/2 inch tape. Actually, it's just 1/4 of an inch and an 1/8 of an inch, and just in case, have the 1/2 inch ready. I can't remember very much. And then you're going to need your one of your ATG guns with tape, preferably. So that's what you're going to need for these for this particular project. And as for the embellishments, that's pretty much what you want. You've seen that it's just a rubber band that I kind of put together in a bow formation, and then I tied up a little bit of black lace to it, just a piece that I had laying around somewhere, and I hang this 2 little mini tags from it, because I didn't, you know, that's all the embellishment I wanted on it. So, you know, anything that you want to put for a closure, that's really up to you. Maybe a little bit of a thin chipboard, and those are the ones that we use for backing up pieces like this ones. You don't have to, but at least for today's purposes, I will not require those. I mean, later on, I just told you what we use, like for this one, and some of these ones that go, you know, higher above the, like this one's right here, they go above the folding position here. For those, you know, it's preferable that you use chipboard to back them up so they can be more sturdy. But other than that, really it's pretty much up to your imagination. And you'll know where to go get this paper if this is what you want. This is Tsunami Rose Designs, and she's got her place at Zibit, and she also has an Etsy place. But you know, all the links for this papers and everything that, you know, I used in here, it's down here, so you're able to go and see where to go. Okay, so this is the way it opens, this way. It has 2 pockets here, and then it has another, you know, it's like it's a mat, you know, precisely, that you can put in here, and then it opens again, and you have 2 big pockets, and then that's the end of it. And then obviously you've seen how in the previous video I have put all the cards that I wanted to put. I can still put more, but that's all I wanted to put on to give it to my sister-in-law, my new sister-in-law, and that I can't wait to see her. And you know, they'll be getting married the day after tomorrow, so very, very proud of both of them. Okay, so let's get going with our measurements, and let's start grabbing our 2. You're gonna need first 1, because the other one is totally at the end. So you're gonna get 1 of your envelopes, your file folders, and then I'm gonna tell you the measurements you're going to use. And I have them all in here figured out, so you guys can take notations of this. So you know that each folder has a natural fold position, and then they give you like 3 more score marks, and that's to create gussets as the file is expanding. Well, we're going to take advantage of 2 of those. Excuse me, let me get some of my drink. It's very dry here in Arizona right now, and very dusty. Excuse me. So anyhow, so let's get our trimmers ready. And I am going to put this file the way I have this one right here. So in other words, my natural fold is on my right, and then the 3 other ones, it's on the other side. And it's hard to see them there, but I will explain, you know, step by step. Okay, so how we're going to cut the ends of this file, it depends on what we're going to measure, and we're going to start measuring from the natural fold that is already there when you get the files. So you get the files with 1, 2, 3, and 4 score marks, but 1 is the one that's already naturally put in there. So when you get the box of folders, they're all laying in that same position, correct? Okay, so it's from that marking, the one that is already folded, that we're going to measure this way or this way to cut. Okay, so it's very important to know that. And the way I position my file, again, I'm putting that fold score mark on my right, and then after to my left I have 3 more score marks. We're not using those right now. So let's cut first the one on my right. So if I measure from that natural score line and fold all the way to the end, I need to have 8 7/8 of an inch. So by experience, I can tell you that I can fold this. I'll put this aside. I'll bring my trimmer. Let me see if this is all the way. Oops, sorry. I don't want to get anybody sick there. Okay, so we are looking for 8 7/8. Now this is the natural position because that's how the file folder came from factory, right? So I can put that edge to the 8 7/8. So it's almost 9 right there. And I can tell you, let me see right there. There it is. And I can tell you that I can still cut in here, and it's still not going to interfere with my second flap because it's so little what we're cutting. And there it is. This is how little we cut, okay? And let me, and another thing that I found out about folders, many times they're not squared, okay? So I have to kind of pre-check them. It's like when you double check your math. So look at this. I'm going here by my straight line that I have in here, and I know it's not, it's really just not fitting. So, and I was kind of afraid of that, and many times I just double check myself. It doesn't always happen, but from time to time, like that one, it just happened. So again, let me open it again. So from this position, the first natural fold that we have, we put it on the 8 7/8 of an inch, and then we cut, which we did. And it doesn't even touch this other one yet because this one is shorter. This side, the left side, is going to go over. It's a slightly smaller. Okay, now we're going to cut that in. So from that natural fold that we already have all the way to this end, we need to have 7 3/8. Now, oops. So I am going to fold it the opposite way so I know where my end is at here, and I am going to first find my marking, which is 7 3/8. So it's right there, and I'm going to secure my paper, hold the bottom, open it up, and cut. And there you have it. So now we have something that looks like this, okay? So as you can tell, let me position this again over each other so you can kind of see what I've done. And this may look complicated, it's not. Okay, so there it is. You see how it's lining to this, and this one is lining to that score mark, and this edge is lining to, I'm sorry, it's too big, to that edge. Okay, so we have our size over here correctly. All right, so now we need to score at this point. We still need to do another cutting, but we're not there yet. And as everybody knows, I do like my score board from Martha Stewart. because it's just so easy and there's no thinking about it. Okay, so again, I'm going to look up my sample that I have in here. I want to have the natural fold to my right, and if any way I can see this, I have this, you know, this seal that comes from the factory. It's on my right. Seal here is on the right, so I know I'm on the right track. Okay, so my first score mark is going to be at 1 3/8. So 1 1/8, 2/8, 3/8 right here, which is the mark right before you 1 1/2. Now again, we're working with file folder paper, so you could you know, put a little bit more pressure on this to make sure you got a really good fold. Okay, and your second mark is going to be on this flap. Now it's too big to do this, so what I do, I fold it how naturally it would fall. I make sure I put it all the way to the end, hold my paper, and then I'm going to score it right at 6 1/2. Okay, and I'm going to do it just a quick another one, and then at 7 7/8. So again, it's almost at 8, but it's not quite 8. Very good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is turn my paper this way, and as you can tell, there's my marking for the factory, there's that marking for the factory. So you turn it kind of 90 degree angle, and put your paper all the way to the bottom, and you're going to score right at 3 inches. Take it all the way to the bottom, and then you can fold it, or you can take it this way, flip it over, and do 3, and they're going to match, as you can tell right there. And oops, I did the wrong matching. Okay, there it is. Okay, so now I have my whole bottom. It's already scored. That's what's going to create your pockets, okay? All right, so now on this, let's see. Yeah, I can put my scoreboard away for right now. And believe it or not, this is your whole thing you're going to use for your folder, because the one that goes behind it is so easy that this is the one that you have, you know, you have all the score marks, and then you have the measuring and a lot of that good stuff. Not on the other one. When we get ready to use our second folder, it's going to be pretty easy. Okay, so let's go back to our 1 3/8 score mark, which is right here, the first one we did, and then the one that is 6 1/2, and the one that is 7 3/8. So go back to your 1 3/8 right here, and let me see if I can use my pencil or pen, and I'm going to do some markings so you guys can kind of see it. And what I'm going to do, I am just guiding myself by the score line, and I know it's hard to see for you guys, that's why I'm going to use my so this is where my score mark is at. Okay, just don't pay attention to how not straight it is, but that's just for you guys to see. Okay, so this is the marking that goes on the 3 inches, which is going to create our flap, and this one right here is 1 3/8 of an inch right here. Okay, so if I can see that square right there, I'm going to give myself about a 1/2 inch diameter or territory to work with right there, and I'm going to put that in there. Okay, I am going to draw that just for an imaginary, and I'll put it closer so you guys can see it. But now I'm going to move to my 6 1/2 inch mark, and I'm going to do the same. So for you guys' sake, I'm going to mark my 6 1/2, and then that way. Okay, so I'm going to give myself again about 1/2 inch, give or take, so you guys could see where I'm cutting. I don't do that when I'm doing it for myself, it's just for you guys to see it. So this is what it looks like for the 1 3/8, and this is what it looks like for the one that is 6 1/2 inch score line. So the reason why I gave myself that extra time and that extra space in there is because we need to cut this out right here. So this one is going to be cut off. And I'm gonna put it right here, cut off right there. So I'm going to start cutting right there. Okay, now you probably wonder, why does she draw from this corner to this corner? Well, it's because I want to do a little slit there and touch that corner, but only touch it, not cut it, okay? Same thing over here. Cut that off, the flap. Then I'm going to do that slit all the way to the corner between the 1 3/8 and the 3" where they meet together. I want to have that little flap right there, and this one will go up like that, and this one goes this way. This ones we're going to cut them, but for right now, tutorial purposes, we're going to leave them on until it's completely necessary for me to take them off. I just wanted you guys to see how the diagram looks in paper. Then you'll understand it once you start making it, okay? Alright, so as you can tell, now if we start doing our creases, let's get our bone folder, which I forgot to tell you you're going to need, but by now I'm pretty sure you guessed. Okay, so let's do that fold. And then I'm going to start doing these other ones too, because we want to have nice, clear, and sharp edges. That always helps. Okay, so now you can see why we're going to cut this, because this fold is going to go this way. So it's just, this flap right here is completely unnecessary, okay? But I always leave it there until I'm completely ready to cut it. Number 1 is for you to get used to it. Number 2, anything can go wrong. And I don't know how that would help, but I just don't like to cut that until I'm completely ready to get rid of it. Let me throw these pieces here. Okay, so let's compare our pieces that we have. This is my sample again. So I'm going to put it here, so you guys can see how they absolutely match, okay? So I'll do a quick recap so you guys can see what I did, because sometimes, you know, I'm not very good at explaining, so I'd rather myself repeat and you be satisfied with the explanation. And if you didn't, well, leave me a message and I'll try to answer as best as I can. Alright, so our purpose from the beginning was to utilize that score mark in which the foil comes folded naturally by factory. So from that score mark, which at this point I am putting it, the way I am putting the file folder open is that score mark that creates a natural fold. It's on my right. And then to my left I have those 3 other score marks that we're not going to use yet, but we will. One of them at least. Okay, so from this mark, the natural fold, to my left I need to have 7 3/8, so that's how we cut in there. And then from the same mark to my right I needed to have 8 7/8 of an inch. Once we have done those cuttings or those trimmings into the file folder, you are ready to score. And our first score mark is at 1 3/8 of an inch. Second one, and when I say second one, meaning that you have to fold your file folder the way originally or naturally came from the factory, put it all the way to the end of the scoreboard, and then start, you know, marking or counting again, and that will take you to 6.5, because obviously if I start from here it would go over 12.5, which is the size of the scoreboard. It wouldn't work for us, so that's why I have you kind of fold it. So at 6.5, and then our third and last score mark, you know, in this way is going to be a 7 7/8. Then you are flipping the paper 90 degrees and you are going to score a 3 inches all the way down. And if you had a problem, because obviously the file is really big, you can turn it over and then keep the whole thing marked at 3. Okay, so once you have done that and you have figured out all these score lines, then you are able to do your trimming down here, because this square parts right here is just extra bulkage. It's not going to be needed, so it needs to be trimmed out. So we trimmed it right at the 1 3/8 where it meets at 3 inches, but we gave ourselves 1/2 inch space away from the score lines so we can have this little flap. And we had another little flap in here, but now you understand that we're not going to be able to use that flap, so therefore it had to be removed. So only this one is left, and we will be doing the same thing on our right, leaving only that little flap. Very good. Now at this point we are going to, let me put this paper away. We have something to drink. Oh my goodness. I mixed some pure pineapple juice with ginger ale. Oh my god, that tastes so good. Really quenches your thirst. Okay, so let's get back to our project. Now you're going to need your tapes. Let's start with a 1/4 inch. And what we're going to do, we're going to start, this flap has to be completely down here, okay? So I'm just going to put a little bit, now you know that you're going to have this little corner there that is kind of funky. That's why we don't do anything about it, because it doesn't matter, it's going to be hidden. Okay, we'll just put a little bit of tape at the end. Then we're also going to put tape on this right here, on the folded position, obviously. And we'll do the same thing to this one on the folded position, if I remember all right. Okay, so there it is. So now let me show you here how this works. Give me just a second here. Alright, so let's continue on with our, it was my son that had just come back from school. Okay, so let's look at our original project. So this flap right here becomes this right here. So now you can see why we need to have this tape over here, correct? Now I am going to redo the score lines right here, because I don't think I've done this in the bottom, and they have to be so nice and crisp, because that just helps the project, you know, all together. Okay, so this one being this way, we are good. Is this tape, it's ready to come off. Now I always trim the edge here, that little, just do it a little snip in there so it looks like that, and make sure that you don't take more than the necessary space. So it's got to be right, you know, just meeting that edge of your folder. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. But before that, and I totally forgot, and I always forget, not the first time, but I actually like to put some tape, and you can do it on the natural score line. I usually do it here if I remember, you know, on the inside, but I forgot. But it's still good timing for you to put it, you know, on the back of the file, right over that score line of the natural line, and that helps you to line this to this one. Okay, so make sure that those two puppies just match perfectly, because if you do that, then this thing is not going to go cattywampus on you. You know, it's not going to be all crooked and everything. Alright, so next one we have this one, but let me do the trimming at the end too, a little snip. And very good. And let's see, have I done the bottom? Yes, I had already done the bottom. And remember that tape right there? Yes, we need to tape that, take that, so we can tape it down. So at the time of us putting this over, it stays right there perfectly. But in this case, you see how on this side we did it over? This time it's going to be out this way. Okay, so I am going to glue this right to the edge of my folder, not taking any extra space. Then we're going to put, and I think I'm going to use my 1/2 inch tape just to put right here. And then I'm going to put another one just right there so it kind of meets. And I want to doubly make sure that that file does not lift up for any reason. Okay, and if you have any extra little glue in there, just turn them over. And there you have it. So pretty much your file, it's ready. Okay, the next one is going to be nothing to do. So let me get my second envelope. All right, so see this right there? So now, okay, so now you go, okay, well, but if you fold it over in the natural position that it came in from the factory, it doesn't look like the one you made at first. Correct, because it's at this point that we're going to activate not the second file, not the second score line, but the third. And I'll see if I can show you. Well, that one is covered already. But this is what you're going to do. I don't care whether, let me just double check. This is kind of, it's kind of bubbling up on me. There it is. Okay, so, and it's still bubbling. Why are you bubbling? Let me let it rest. In just 1 second. So this is live. So if there's any mistakes made, it's live. Okay, so you can see that this goes over the edge, unlike this, correct? That they should meet like that. Well, you're going to make them. So you kind of bubble up your page, bring it up, and then just kind of make the page meet the other edge. Then you're going to fold it back, and the paper naturally is going to line to that third. And I'm going to open it here. Oops, it kind of went bunkers on there, but it doesn't matter. There it is. See? So it is to the second score mark. I've forgotten, but anyhow. So what you do again? You put your paper right next to this edge, line it up to that one, hold it right there, and just go for it. And there it is. And that one has a little bit of a bubble there. It doesn't matter. You can always fix those markings, okay? And you know, once that paper gets folded in a certain position, it doesn't want to change routes, well, we're going to make it. There. Okay, so there is your file folder right there. So see, it made exactly right where it needed to. And I think this is just bubbled up. So what I'm going to do is probably put some tape in there, or let me just clear this. If I can iron this folds right here, the paper would be more willing to work with me. I hope. And yes, it did. Okay, perfect. So this is very important that you kind of iron that paper. And there it is. There's this file right there. So it's quite like the original that I talked to you about, which is this one right here. This is how it's going to look, okay? So there's the two of them. All right, so let's get back. So now we're here. This is glued here, just like is this in here. So let me show you right there, and we're right there. So that matches, correct? Okay, so now we're going to utilize the same, we're going to be using the same product here. So now we're going to be cutting about, let me see, because I don't think I measured this before, but I will measure it for you now. And it is 7 5/8. So you're going to leave your paper in the natural folded position that it came in, and you're going to just measure what did we say, 7 and 5/8? Let me double check. Yeah, so we're going to go to 7 and 5/8, which is your line right after your half line marking. And right there, you're going to do your trimming all the way. You can dispose of this. And now we need to use our scoreboard one more time. And the only thing that is to do here is to do the score line that is going to, you know, create your pocket. So at 3 inches, remember that? All the way down. I'm gonna flip it over because I had that little extra, you know, that didn't need because it was big or too long. But I'll show you how I'll put it again in the folded position and just kind of mark that again, and it just gives me a secure area. All right, so it's done. So this is going to be folded here like that and like that. Let's see. And let's see, did I do that or didn't I do that? I gotta redo this one because I was supposed to leave half an inch here and I didn't do that. So let me get another file and I'll give you those proper measurements. Sorry my friends, I didn't mean to confuse you there, but I just gave you the wrong measurements for that. So let's begin with our new folder. I haven't done anything to it. So instead of marking that, and it was actually, sorry, I got the thing backwards, 7.5, we're going to mark 8.5 because we got to do those folds in. Okay, so let's go to 8.5 marking and just do your trimming. And let's see. Yes, 8.5. Let me see, is it 8.25? Let me double check here. So sorry, my dear. It's just 8.25. God forgive me for this. My goodness. I don't know what was going on today. It's been a whole day, a long day, and just trying to recoup from 2 days that I've been sick with my heart. So sorry about that. So again, let's go back to the measurements. A brand new folder, okay? You just leave it in the natural folded position that it came in from factory. Take it for 8.25. Clean it up or trim it, and it takes care of all those edges and it's even all the way. Okay, so now we can take our trimmer back, put away, and now we need our score board one more time, and we're pretty much there. Now at this point, it doesn't really matter which side you pick. We just need to mark it because, you know, both sides are the same at this point. We need to do score mark at 3 because again, that is our folded position to create our pocket. So you can leave it in that folded position and just flip it over this way and that way, and it makes those markings. Okay, now sorry about that. Now, so we have the markings or the score mark. Put this right there. They will create our pocket. You know, it's all nice and defined. We have that. Now we're going to score half an inch on each side. So since they are the same side at this point, you can choose to do the same as we did on our pockets. I just did it one way and then I flipped it over on the folded position, and we'll still give you that. So right now we are at 8.25, correct? Because that's the length that we cut. So let's go back to 7 3/8. That gives you half an inch flap. Let's mark that all the way to the bottom. Let's flip our folder just because it's just so big, you know, to work with it completely open. 7 3/4, and redo those markings. Perfect. We're done with the scoreboard. So now, very important, this is what we're going to do. And I don't know if you can see the score there. You can see them a little better there. They're not, it's hard to see there. You can see it better there. But in the corner with a 3-inch mark and the 1/2 inch on each side meet, you're going to do a V, like an inverted V trimming, like that, okay? And on the other side, same thing. Why do we do that? Because those flaps that you have, they're going to be folded, but they're both going to be folded in different ways. So this is our fold that will create our pocket. So I know that this flap is going to go this way, as long as this one too, to do it this way and have nice clean edges, correct? Okay, so what about this one? We're going to be doing the same thing. Now, do we need it on both sides? Well, we need it on the outside here, but this one, when you put them together, it will become an outside too. So we want to have those nice and clean edges at this point, okay? So we put the tapes on different sides. That's the reason why I have you cut, oops, sorry, cut the that little oh my goodness, I'm dropping everything. This little inverted V right here before we put the tapes, because if we don't do that, it's just so easy to get confused. Okay, so turn the page so it's kind of long size towards you, long side, and put tape on this side right here. Okay. And I do those two first. It doesn't matter which one you do, whether you do the top or the bottoms, but you finish those ones in the direction they're going to go, and that way there's no confusion. All right, we're gonna trim on top. We don't have to trim on the bottom because it's already been trimmed. Remember with that inverted V? Okay, so now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove the tape, and I am going to adhere that flap right to the page. I'm going to get my bone folder, and I know it's done. I'll flip my page over. I'll use my bone folder to make that crease really nice and sharp. I'll remove my tape, and voila. So it's really stuck to my page, okay? So now we're going to put the tape not in here, but on the folded position. So I'll do that here, and do it here. And let's trim those corners. You know, this ones we haven't done. We did that because of the inverted V, but we didn't do this other one, so we need to do those. Okay. Oops. Let me get those. A little tape is sticking to me. Alright, so it's right there and it's ready to go. Remove the tape one side, remove the other tape, and let's not forget the middle tape with 1/8 of an inch. I'll use this tape for score line because it doesn't take a lot of space, but it just works with its purpose, which is to add one page to the other without ripping it like I just did. Oh my goodness, some days, I'm telling you. Okay, so secure that score line with the one above, and that's how you know you were in the right track. So again, now we can adhere that page, and this other one should match perfectly. And there you have it. So now let's secure the score line, and we didn't have to do much because this is what came from factory, but you still want to give it a nice, you know, clean, sharp edge, because it looks so good on your products when you're making them. And there it is. So now let's grab your, oh, let me just get this, clean up all these little bits and pieces here. They're driving me nuts because they're sticking. Some of the tape is peeled, and ugh. Alright. So there it is. All you have to do now, we're going to add the 1/2 inch tape. I do 1/2 inch because I want enough glue to hold this envelope to the bottom one. I could use this one and still glue, but the strength may not be there as much. So this is what we're trying to achieve. We're going to adhere this envelope piece that we've done to the bottom one, okay? So I just want to make sure that it sticks really well. So that's the reason why I'm going to use 1/2 inch tape. We're going to put it here, here, here on the bottom, obviously. So I'll get this piece, I'll flip it over, and I know I have to do this, okay? It's almost like a square C that we're going to do. I put this right on the edge. In other words, this is the edge where the folder is folded. And you're pretty much, you're home. You're good to go to do your decorating. And I'm not going to do that with you. I'll just give you a few tips for it, but it's done. The whole file is pretty much done. Let me move this right here because I want that extra tape on the corners. Okay, and if there's any extra tape, you know, when you cut it by hand, just flip it in and it's ready to go. Okay. Just double check your math, you know, when you're folding things. I always not second guess myself. I double check. That's what I like to call it. Not second guess, but double check. Alright, so now I'm going to add this. I'm going to start from the bottom because I know I cannot change the bottom because that's where it's folded and I have no extra edges there. There it is. And there it is. And there's just a tiny bit extra here. Well, look what I'm going to do. See, I can cut it up here because this is an open edge, but on the bottom it's not because that's where we have our pockets. So I couldn't trim anything there. So the bottom had to be perfect. Okay, and it was just nothing, as you can tell. But you know, that's human imperfection right there. And there's your file folder. Believe it or not, there it is. Look at this. So you open this, you open it here, you have pocket here and pocket here, here and here, and then you have this area for your mat. Well, this is the area for your mat right here, right there. Okay, and let me just check the back, turn it around, and pocket here, pocket here, pocket here, and voila. Okay, and I'll give you a quick tip that I utilize. I just cut everything 1/4 inch shorter. So let's just say this was 6 by 8, and then I'm going to cut it at 5 3/4 by 7 3/4. That's exactly how I do it. And then obviously I center the piece to the page, and that's it. I just do 1/4 inch smaller, you know, all around it, and it gives me that little extra edge right there that it kind of makes the product looks very nice and lined, you know. So that's pretty much it. And for whatever decorations, like as I talked to you earlier, I did a little bit of chipboard behind them just to secure the pages. But go to TsunamiRoseDesign.com, either on Zivit or on Etsy, and all the links are just below here. So check them out. You'll be able to download all these papers, and fairly inexpensive. And I think they look just fabulous. So I do hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. There was some confusion there for a little bit there, but you know what? I spent 2 days, you know, practically in bed. My heart was not acting up the way it was supposed to. But we're getting back to normal, and I apologize for any confusion I may caused or may have caused. But there it is. So rewind and play back until you get it. But if anything became too much for you, leave me a comment or send me a message, either privately or Facebook, and I will get back with you as soon as possible. Thanks so much, and I do hope you have enjoyed this small tutorial. Have a great day. Bye-bye.